What is going on? It is James back at it again today with somebody that has been in my life for a long time, kind of bounced in and out. The last experience that we had together was maybe with some libations under the music, under the night sky there, when the man got married. But before that, actually, how we met was back in the bar scene back in the day. I really, really am excited for you being here, Don. I want to welcome you to the podcast. This gentleman, his name is Don Scozzari, right?
Perfect.
Right, cool. And he's a man of many talents. So we're going to go into a lot of it. He's someone that in health and wellness, he's actually a big inspiration for me jumping deep into the space. And so I've got immense gratitude. And I might owe him a few beers for helping me not get my ass handed to me a few times when I was 18, 19. So we'll go into that a little bit later. But thanks for coming on the podcast, man.
I appreciate you guys having me. Or
yeah.
you. I'm not used to not seeing Sae'Von on here, but
Yeah, he's got a new baby, man. He's going yeah. So he's out there living large, that dad life. So, we make it on podcasts together now when we can. Sometimes he records by himself with others, and then I do the same. So we're gonna keep it pushing there. But let's start with just a rundown. Who are you? Why should people care about who you are? What have you done? Like, let's just start anywhere. There's tons of things we can pull on here, but if for people that don't have any context of who you are, who's Don?
Sure. So I'll just try to keep it as concise and pristine as possible. But basically, I've been in the fitness space. I started when I was about 16. Mm-hmm. Of course, when we all started when we were 16, I didn't really know what I was doing. But been in the space since I was 16, been really actually knowing what I'm doing and like researching it, doing all that stuff since I was about 21, 22. I'm 28 now, just to give you some context. I love jujitsu. I'm a competitive jujitsu grappler. I guess I can still call myself that, a pro fighter in the cage. I went pro last March, but I haven't had a fight since. Don't know if I'm going to keep doing it. We can talk about that later though. But that's pretty much just who I am. I just got married in July of last year, and I have a dog that I love very much.
What's the doggy's name?
Moo, and she is white and black.
There it
appropriately
is.
Named.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, yeah, again, thank you for coming on. I guess I kind of want to start for you've been in health and wellness, right? But kind of jumped in and out. Can you talk about what that journey's looked like?
Yeah. So, like I said, I started when I was about 16. I was the skinny guy. I weighed about $145, $150 throughout all of high school, and really started getting into it of course, like when I joined the football team in my senior year. Yeah. But all high school football coaches and everything, not all, I shouldn't say all, a lot of high school football coaches are, they don't really know the most. So it just kind of spurred me and got me interested. I started talking to more and more people, going to the local gym I'm from Albany, Georgia. So the small gym down there, shout out to Tony's Gym. What's up? But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed getting stronger. It made me feel very confident, and stuff like that. I'm sure you can attest to that. Yeah. But that's kind of where my interests started. And then I just really started diving into the ins and outs of all the research. I've done every program you can think of, like starting with the bro lifts, arm day every day, and then diving into what is, what I do now, which is, in my opinion, I like much better. There's a lot of research behind it, whatnot, but yeah, it's good stuff. And that's kind of where that all began. And I have bounced in and out. Like you said, it's been a weird journey. So I kind of got into it big time when I joined a gym here in Athens. That's where I'm currently living. But I joined a gym named Core Blend, and they were awesome while I was there. I learned a ton while I was there, and learned a lot from a lot of people that would come and visit the gym that were high level athletes. I mean, we had people in there that were professional level shot putters. We had the Canadian track and field team in there at one point. Like we had some top level athletes come through that gym, and it was really cool to pick their brain and kind of figure out from the coaches to just kind of what's been going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, no, totally get that. Let's back up a little bit where you said you much more enjoy what you're doing now as opposed to starting with the bro lifts. What does the split look like for you? What kind of programming are we on? Like, talk about that.
Yeah. So right now, like used to, I would go to the gym like 6 days a week. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like I know plenty of people, you know, especially a big name like Sal DiStefano, he's in the gym like 6 days a week. You know, you just manage your volume better and all that stuff, which I didn't know about back when I was doing all that, those bro lifts. But right now what I'm doing is kind of an upper lower split. I work out 3 days a week right now, and I would work out 4. If I didn't do a lot of jujitsu, I would work out 4 days a week and do an upper lower split or a push pull legs type of split. But just kind of focusing more on more compound movements instead of just like today is chest day and the next day is back day, you know, and just trying to hit all the volume of one muscle group on one day. I feel like it limited me. You know, at the time I was a newbie, and anybody's going to grow, you know, if you just do any form of stimulus. So going back, I wish I would have known about what I'm doing now, because I'm the strongest I've ever been. Obviously that's, you know, just consistency over time too, but the type of lifting I'm doing, managing my volume, managing the intensity, knowing all of those different variables, it's truly taken my game to the next level, and it transfers over to my jiu-jitsu tremendously.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. Jumping in and out. And I mean, it sounds like as you've progressed, you've learned more and you've applied that knowledge, not just learned it and then done whatever the hell you want to do. You've applied it. But what's been the biggest hurdle to stay in health and wellness? Like you've jumped in and out, right? Is it mental health? Is it burnout? Is it like what's pulled you out as a practitioner and now brought you back?
Yeah, a lot of times I'll have to say it is burnout for sure, especially in the like one-on-one in-person scene. I mean, Lord, you know, early mornings, late nights. I never got to see my wife or my girlfriend at the time.
Yeah.
You know, I would see her sometimes in the middle of the day, maybe, you know, but it was just, you know, weekends. It was so much time sink. And then, so that was the in-person scene. The online was much better. I think my business, I kind of set up in a strange way to where it like sucked more of my life for me than I intended it to. You know, with online, you know, you kind of want it to do the opposite. You know, I just didn't manage my time well the first time I kind of ventured into the online scene. And it controlled me rather than I control it. And so this go around, I just started back doing the online scene, and it's been significantly better.
Yeah.
So, but that's really, like you said, it's burnout, man. It's constantly just every hour you had to like turn it on again, you know. You got to be 100% for that client every time. Doesn't matter if you're having a bad day, doesn't matter if you had a shit session, nothing. So
yeah, is that burnout perpetuated? Is that cause? Is that something that's kind of stirred? Is that pot stirred up by working in a bigger facility? Is that how it's set up where they can be cash flow positive? Or is it like you as a trainer, you set yourself in that position and you couldn't get out of it?
I mean, working at Core Blend was probably like, I wouldn't call it like a huge facility. It was definitely a gym that was more towards the personal training side. We didn't have a lot of just gen pop coming in there and working out on their own. You had to be with a client or a customer, or a coach if you came into that gym.
Yeah.
Or you had to be doing a class or something like that. So it's not so much that there was like a ton of people. Now, I did work at a big box gym before that, back when I was in college. And that was pretty terrible. In both instances, I felt like there was a lot of money being left on the table that I wasn't getting. Which that on top of everything sucks even more, like, oh, here's $15 for this hour that they paid at least $75 for you. And you're just like, cool. Cool. Love that. But yeah, I would say it's not so much that the people, like, I loved the people I worked with, and I loved being around a ton of people like that. Just the long ass hours and not getting paid that much on top of that was it just like hammer and anvil, man. Just bam.
Yeah, no, I totally hear that. What type of clientele do you typically work with? Are we talking more gen pop? Are we talking about performance athletes? Are we talking women, men, older, geriatrics? Like, who's your typical clientele?
Yeah, so most people that I work with, at least if I'm going back to like when I was working at a gym, I did work with a lot of gen pop, but I also had my fair share of athletes. I worked with wrestlers, worked with some baseball players, worked with some football players. A lot of those guys were in high school or like early college. They were just trying to get stronger, stuff like that. The gen pop people that came in, they either had some form of pain, they're tired of sitting on their ass all day and, stuff like that. They just wanted general strength. So I do enjoy tremendously working with gen pop. I also enjoy working with like grappling athletes, or combat sports athletes. I'm a little bit biased, but yeah, those are the main people that I really like to work with. Don't work with too many geriatric people. We actually had at the gym Corbland, we had a awesome guy to work with geriatric people. He's done a tremendous amount. I'm going to shout him out here because I like the guy. But his name's Kason Draymond, and he's awesome. I've seen him work miracles with some old folks. Seriously. But yeah, that's who I mainly worked with, man. It's good times.
What, I mean, as someone that's worked with a decent amount of gen pop, I mean, where do you think most trainers or most practitioners, whether it be a nutritionist, not talking about registered dietitians, but nutritionists, CPTs, your CL1s, your USAW, like all these people that have tons of certifications, where are they failing gen pop the most? Like, why is our obesity rate so high? Why are we in a place where so many people have the money to work with a trainer, and maybe they do, but then they don't stick with it? Is it the trainer's fault?
I think it would be, I don't think we can throw, the blame only on the trainer. I think a lot of people these days have an instant gratification complex. We want things, we want it now. We start a program. It's like in 4 weeks, if I don't see 30 pounds off my ass, I'm pissed. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and it's like, oh, well, this doesn't work, I'm going to jump to the other one. Like, I think that's probably one of the biggest things. I think, I was thinking of this the other day. If you have this spectrum, and on one end you have shit that doesn't work at all, and on the other end you have shit that is like so extreme it works, but it's like so extreme that like nobody can do it. A lot of this messy middle is going to work. And a lot of people, with all these certifications, whatever, typically are in this middle zone. Typically what they're shooting out there is going to work. But people who buy the programs, people who are going to you can find a program on bodybuilding.com that'll essentially work. You know what I mean? For the time, you just have to stick to it, and be in it for the long haul. And that's what I see. I see a lot of program hopping, and they don't see the results over the course of 12 weeks, that you would if you stuck with it and you stuck with it hard.
What would you say the necessary components are for a program to be solid, one that someone could gain some strength gains or some weight loss or some toning, and we can go into that word in a little bit. Some
lovely
toning.
Word. Yeah, lovely word there.
It's definitely misused, but what would you say are the components of a program, or of like a program that's given or a program that's done with, that could get you to those kind of results that is in the messy middle?
Yeah. So, I think one of the most lacking things in a lot of programs is like a detailed way of progression. So
Mm,
like a lot of programs that, you buy from Gym Bro online that's, super jacked. 3 sets of 10, 3 sets of 10, 3 sets of 12, you know what I mean? Like
mm-hmm.
it's got all of these, doesn't really tell you, a rate of perceived exertion, doesn't give you a percentage, doesn't really tell you much of anything other than 3 sets of 10 go up when you feel good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just kind of like, go up whenever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think it has to have a detailed level of progression,
Mm-hmm.
understand, and very easy to follow too, because not a lot of people don't, and they're not going to want to understand yet. That's why we're here, right? As trainers and people like that, they don't have to understand the intricacies of why or how things progress. They just want to know, like, okay, let's just use one model, for example, double progression. If you do 3 sets of 8 to 10 on a bench press and you hit the top rep range across all sets, then you can go up by 5 to 10 pounds. That's it. Let's keep it easy. You know what I mean? Something as simple as that's going to level up that particular program given. And it's easy to understand. Um, so definitely the progression thing. I also think, as trainers, it's hard to give like super detailed nutrition advice lawfully. Obviously we want to give that to the registered dietitians out there, especially the trustworthy ones. But I'm a firm believer that just because you have a certification doesn't mean you know jack shit either. Because I've seen I watched a nutritionist tell my sister to not eat fucking like oranges or peaches, and I was like, what? Like, why are you telling people not to eat fruit? Like as if fruit is bad, you know? Um, and she was a certified registered dietitian. Like, what the fuck is that? You know what I mean? But anyway, I get off on tangents.
That's okay. That's why this is a podcast.
But anyway, so yeah, some level of dietary,
Nutrition
guidance,
guidance, we can
just
call it. Just
guidance.
nutrition guidance.
And I take a lot of this from like Jordan Syatt. He's a wonderful
Solid
coach,
person. Yep.
wonderful coach. I try to emulate a lot of stuff from him because I like his shit. But I think a lot of people harp too much on tracking all three macros. It's like, hey, let's track calories, let's track protein, let's track carbs, and let's track fats. And I'm like, well, that's a lot of numbers for someone who's literally never tracked shit in their life. Like a lot.
Couldn't even tell you the last time that they weighed themselves or they took a piss, much less tell you how many grams of protein they had last Tuesday.
Exactly. So it's, I think it's important to like kind of see what the client is capable of adhering to. So if they're like ready to, if they've been tracking their calories before you've talked to them, maybe introduce tracking protein right after that, and just protein. If they've never tracked a calorie before in their life, maybe start them off by just having, taking pictures of their food and sending them to you. Or even just, have them start thinking about their food, what they're eating. Even if they just track protein, they're not even tracking calories. They're just trying to like put protein on their plate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So a lot of it's just like kind of meet the client where they're at and push them just a tad more, just to get them to kind of learn a little bit. You know what I mean? And then progress from there.
Don't throw the whole breakdown of what RPE and the double progression and 14 other things at them. Like, look, if you've not moved, let's get you moving. If you've moved, walk. Let's look at if we haven't, it's kind of like like we want to crawl before we walk, before we run. Mm-hmm. Same kind of thing, probably in everything, right? Is that what you're saying?
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah. It's if I threw you in the deep end, and you never swam in your life, you're probably gonna suck and die.
Yeah, you also, that's why a white belt doesn't roll with a brown belt or a black belt.
Absolutely.
Like, what are you gonna do?
Absolutely.
that doesn't even make sense. So yeah, totally get that. So what do your programs look like? Like holistically, are they multiple pillar? Are you more specifically focused on what you like to do and what you like to coach? Are they more targeted towards Gen Pop? Like, what does Don like to program for
Yes,
that most of his clients?
sure. So a lot of my programs look relatively similar.
Mhm.
I program a lot of compound lifts because best bang for your buck, honestly, in my opinion. And it depends on who I'm programming for. I'm actually a few days from releasing a combat sports program, strength program, that's going to focus a lot more on like a little bit more specificity towards that particular sport. But that's something even Gen Pop can run, and they're going to see tremendous results from it. You know what I mean? But typically speaking, I'm going to program things that include dips, include presses from all angles, include pulls from all angles, like pull-ups, rows, a lot of stuff like that. You're going to squat, you're going to deadlift, and you're going to do all those variations. And that's pretty much what I like to program. I'm not programming. I don't like to program like hit stuff. We can dive into that topic later maybe, but that got kind of big a while back, wouldn't you say? High intensity interval training for fat loss.
Well, I
And
mean, it's still with F45 and OTF and Soul Cycle and a bunch of other stuff still predicated on like all
for sure.
circuit training, like seven stations, right? In F45. And then you have Orange Theory, you have monostructural cardio, then pieced with something else, no barbells, all kettlebells, all dumbbells, all with your heart rate in like 70th percentile.
Yeah, it's intense, man.
It's a
And I'm not
lot.
saying it doesn't work. I'm not saying that it's not a good thing. Like plenty of people like it. And if it gets punch people moving, that's better than them sitting on their ass, at least.
Yeah.
I just like a different method.
Yeah.
That's just me personally.
Well, would you say it's fair to say that it depends, right?
It
It
does depend.
works basically depending on what your goal is. Like if
Sure.
you're saying, hey, I want to get to a 500-pound pull off the ground, I promise you that going to Orange Theory is not going to help you do that.
You sure?
You know what I mean? Like that's not gonna
No, for
do it.
sure. For sure. Absolutely. Yeah. That's a funny like answer. It's like the most broad answer ever, but it's the most appropriate one in this space. It's like, yeah, well, it depends. It
Definitely
sounds lazy,
does.
but it really freaking does, man. Like everything depends on everything. Like you said, if your goal is, you want to be able to do 5 pull-ups unassisted, you're not going to get that pulling on a row machine for calories. Like you're
There
just
it is.
not. You know what I mean? You're just not. So, yeah, that's my answer to that one.
Yeah,
So,
I totally get that. Yeah, so let's talk about combat sports. I've seen you in the bar, I've seen you in the ring, I've seen you doing jujitsu. Where did all that start for you? Combat sports.
yeah, man. So, back in high school, I always did kind of like taekwondo and that kind of stuff, but that really wasn't like super competitive for me. I played soccer all through high school, and in my senior year of in my last game ever, I broke my ankle and shattered it.
Wow.
It's the only bone I've ever broken. Well, aside from my nose, but this thing's like an avocado. But so I broke my ankle. I couldn't play, soccer or anything in college. So I had a competitive drive to do something, and I always saw, UFC, and I was like, man, that's cool. I want to do that. And then I saw the movie Never Back Down. I feel like a lot of fighters have this story. They're like, oh shit, that's cool. Chicks love it. Like, whatever. So I literally just like looked up MMA gym on Google, found a gym in Albany, and went and stuck my head in there. And that's kind of been where it's at. I told the guy, I was like, I want to fight, coach. And he was like that was on first day. And he was like, okay. Because he's heard that a million times. There's so many people that come in, they're like, I want to fight. And then they see what it takes and they're like, fuck that. So yeah, that's kind of where all that started, man. And once I tasted the cage, that's love, man. It
Yeah.
was pretty awesome.
Yeah. What's your favorite form of martial arts?
I'm honestly gonna have to say jujitsu, and it's the reason I like it so much is because it's something that you can do honestly like forever. Like I feel like I'm gonna be doing jujitsu into my 60s and 70s, because they call it the gentle art, even though like everybody jokes on that. um, but it is something like you're not getting clocked in the head in training. You're not getting concussions, little mini concussions or anything like that. You're not, you might hurt your joints every now and then, but it's something you can really do forever. And it's really cool being able to manipulate someone on the ground as if they like have never done anything in their life. It's pretty fucking cool. Um, but I'd say a close second would be Muay Thai. That's a fun
Why
one.
Muay Thai?
Well, that was the one that it was offered at my gym when I came up here to Athens. And so I just kind of got into that, and I just fell in love with elbows and knees and the clinch. And I was so fortunate to learn from Arjan Scott Hicks. He's one of the only like Arjan in the United States. He got it over in Thailand. Like he is a master. Like it's fucking awesome. So I learned some like straight up killer stuff from him, and it's just a fun sport. It bangs you up really fucking bad, but it's a fun sport.
Yeah. Yeah. What would you say that martial arts has? What kind of lessons have martial arts imparted on you in your years of doing them? You started in Muay Thai when? How old?
I was 20, 22, 23, somewhere in there.
Okay. Yeah. What have you learned from martial arts?
That I mean, I think a lot of pretty much any combat sports wrestlers, all of them are going to tell you the same thing. It's just when adversity kind of sees to it that it's in your face. You either have a chance to overcome that adversity or you lose. And if you lose, you either have a chance to get pissed off and quit, or you get pissed off and you figure it out and you win. Like that's kind of it. And that applies to life tremendously. It's like, how many times do you get punched in the face, told no? Not literally punched in the face, but like punched in the face by life.
Yeah, or kicked in the dick. I hear you. Like
Yeah,
how many times do you get pushed down the stairs when you're not looking? And
100%.
you would say that martial arts is that the thing that's taught you the most about keeping moving forward?
100%. 100%. It's one of those things that you only get better. It's kind of like weightlifting too, in the sense that like you're not going to get better and you're not going to learn to like overcome what is beating you if you don't show the fuck up. And that's it. Like you show up, you give it hell, you get beat to the ground, you get back up, you learn again, and that's it. And that's really like the biggest lesson that martial arts has ever taught me. Nothing's going to be easy. It's all weird, man. It's all weird.
Life's weird, man. Definitely.
But that's my favorite part about martial arts, man.
Yeah.
It's such an awesome thing. I wish more people did it.
Do you have a better, now I'm talking in the macro, not in the micro. So not in the moment, but in the grand scheme. Okay. Do you have a better feeling when you take a loss in the cage, knowing that you can go out there and do better next time? Or do you feel better when you get that W in the grand scheme?
So I think it's important. It's important to know how to lose for sure. It's also important to know how to win. And I think I get more joy from winning, but you can't get so complacent in the W that you're just like, oh, I'm the best. I don't need to learn anything. You go in and you look at your win and you're like, I didn't win fucking good enough. I didn't win as decisively as I should have. Let me look at this film. Oh, I stepped weird here. Why didn't I do this here? And as long as you critique that, that levels up your game a lot. You can learn from both wins and losses in that same respect, in that same vein. if you are open to looking at your win as you do as your loss,
Yeah. What do you,
So in the grand scheme of things, I like winning more.
yeah, well, I hope that'd be the answer, or you kind of be mediocre. But where do you think you have the biggest opportunity to grow as and this will be two-part, right? One, as a martial artist, and two, as a practitioner in health and wellness. Okay. And I'm going to use the word practitioner continuously because
Sure.
a CPT, someone that is literally one-on-one working with somebody, you're a practitioner, maybe not a medical doctor. Okay.
Right.
We know that, but a
Right.
practitioner nonetheless.
Yeah, for sure. As a as a martial artist, can you remind me the question one more time? I had something in my
Just
head.
where do you think the biggest opportunity for growth is as a martial artist and as a practitioner in health and wellness?
So separately.
Yeah, or together. I mean, if they're the same, yeah.
Well, I guess as a martial artist, continuing to grow in my jujitsu, I haven't really done Muay Thai in a long time. So in the grand scheme of things, I really want to get my black belt, like in jujitsu, and I think that's a lifelong goal. I used to never care about belts. I still don't really care about belts, but that's one that, like, I will probably cry the day that I get that. It will
But
mean that much to
is
me.
it receiving the belt, or is it all of the blood, sweat, and tears that go
It's
up
the
to the
blood,
belt?
sweat, and tears up to it, man. It's the belt is like, it's kind of like the prize, the whole
Mhm.
prize thing. It's like, well, is the prize really what you wanted? Is me hanging a belt up on my wall going to just like I just wanted that belt and I don't give a shit how I got it? No, it's everything. It's me wanting to quit some days. It's me crying in the back of the room like a week before my fight, because I'm just like fucking lost mentally. It's all of those moments and then overcoming those moments and then seeing that belt, that I'm about to wrap around my waist
Mhm.
and knowing that, like, damn, I kept going. Like, that's what that means. So it's not necessarily the belt. It's like you said, it's everything that comes with the belt. It's everything that led up to the belt. Um,
Yeah.
so that's really what the grand scheme of things for me in martial arts is, as far as a practitioner in health and wellness. Um, right now, I'm really diving. I've enjoyed diving into different progression systems. Um, that's something that's always really interested me. I never really did powerlifting. I've been enjoying learning a little bit more about powerlifting, even though I don't do it. But I'll tell you what, my favorite thing that I've been learning about is energy systems. That has been like my favorite thing that I've been researching, and it's something that I've put into my own training, and I'm in the best shape I've ever been in. Like,
Yeah. Drop some
seriously.
game on the people. Energy systems. Drop some game on everyone listening.
So I mean, you can get into all these big names like anaerobic, alactic capacity, alactic power, all these fun things, right? That I'm still, early and fresh into learning. But the main one that I've kind of been getting into, I don't know if you've heard about it, but like zone training, um, zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, zone 4, zone 5. And they all kind of are it's heart rate zones, right? That's kind of what that boils down to. Where, zone 1 is like me sitting here talking to you. It's not
Was that
hard.
is that sub 40%? Do you know
Yeah,
what the
yeah.
number breakdown?
It's no, I'm not, like, I don't want to butcher it. I'm not a very, like, I don't know numbers and shit off the top of my head. But yeah, I don't want to butcher that, so we're not going to get into that one. But yeah, it's more so like, the cool part about zone 1 and zone 2 and zone 3 and stuff like that is you can kind of tell where you're at based on, like, the talk test. So, like,
Oh, here. Okay, hold on. Hold what you got. So zone 1, this is on polar.com. So the
okay,
my zone, like the heart rate
yeah,
monitor
yeah,
that I wear. So
yeah.
we've got zone 1, very light, 50 to 60%.
Mm.
Zone 2, light, 60 to 70. Zone 3, moderate, 70 to 80. Zone 4, hard, 80 to 90. Zone 5, max, 90 to 100.
There you go.
So pick up where you're at. Just
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
make
yeah.
sure
No,
we
that was
got that
great. That
on
was
board,
great.
because I don't remember the numbers and you didn't remember the numbers. So let's get it right here.
There's a lot to remember.
That's a lot. Yeah.
But yeah, zone 1 is like, it's not hard at all. Like, we can do
Yeah.
that almost all day. Zone 2 is like, what I've been doing to get my zone 2 is like walking my dog briskly. And that sounds like, whatever, but you can kind of tell you're in zone 2 because you can speak 12 to 15 words straight without being like, having to take this huge breath.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing once you start to tap into zone 3, which is that next little threshold, you're starting to kind of branch into like using your I can't think of the word right now. Anyway, requires more breath. You can tell because your talk test will fail. You will have to take a breath within 10 to 12 words. And you're like, oh shit, like, all right, I'm going a little too fast. Let me deal it back. So I've been walking my dog, and like I said, briskly. I'm not like casually walking moo,
Mm-hmm.
And I've been doing that for 20, 30, 40 minutes a day. And just doing that it has brought my aerobic capacity up significantly. My ability to recover in jiu-jitsu in between rounds, it has like exploded. My ability to recover in the middle of a round has exploded. You know what I mean? Even weight training benefits tremendously from stuff like that, because your ability to recover in between sets, helps you progress further because you're then able to like push or pull more weight typically. So
yeah,
I've really enjoyed zone 2 training. A lot of people, if you don't have a dog to walk, you can like, walking on an incline treadmill. That's huge. Set it to 3 and walk at a slight incline. You can do it on a stationary bike. You can do a lot of things like this. And you can just like, people like answer emails while they do this. They'll watch a podcast or listen to a podcast.
Yeah.
They might listen to this one while they're doing it.
Yeah, I definitely do some row. Cause I have my MyZone, it projects to the TV, like my numbers, it's just connected to Bluetooth. So I've got it like right under my sternum. And
you wearing it now?
No.
Okay. I was like, damn.
No, just try to get all my MEPs now. No, but I sit in zone 2 a good bit. And it's actually been funny to see, because I'm not like specifically trained for that, but I have worn it in every workout probably for the last year, like literally every single one. So it's
nice.
Very easy for me to tell because it's also color coded with polar, like with it on the TV. So if it's green, it's gray, it's under 50%, right? Or excuse me, it's under 60%. And then it's yellow, then it's green, blue, red, or whatever. I don't know what it is, but when it is those different colors, I can definitely tell if I'm exerting, if I'm going too fast, and really like take it back down to like metcons, like a chipper, 15 or 20 minutes of not monostructural cardio, like a moderate barbell, some gymnastics work, like in CrossFit, for example.
Yeah.
Dude, if you smack like that 70 to 80%, you can't hold that for 15 minutes.
No, dude. No.
You can hold zone 2 for 15 minutes.
Sure.
You cannot hold zone 3 and 4 for 15 minutes. Dude, you're literally like sucking
air. Like, you're going to get done and you're just going to lay on the ground and just be like, kill me, please.
Right. That's that. And then you look at like zone 4 or 5. I mean, you're looking at like Fran Lung, right? Mm-hmm. Like sub 5 minute Fran flying, and people are literally like laid out for the next 45 minutes.
Sure. I mean, you're tapping into your peak capacity there.
You're like, whoa, we're way insane. Up there. 95%. Good.
Yeah, I don't even touch into that when even in my just regular training. I get enough of that in jiu-jitsu, But that's that goes back into like program design and like not trying to overtrain, and get too much into my MRV or maximum recoverable volume for whoever doesn't know what MRV is.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people don't know. So I appreciate you saying that. I mean, you start going into technical jargon with people that are around it all the time. I mean, because it becomes part of your vernacular. It becomes something that you use all the time, that like you just use with other people that know what you're talking about. But then you get around somebody that doesn't, and they're like, "What? What is that?"
No, exactly, man, exactly. Like I had a client I was programming for, and I was like, neutral grip, lat pull down. And he was like, "What's a neutral grip?" And I was like, "Oh yeah." But I mean, not to their fault. Like I'm not shitting on them by any means. It's like, but you have to learn.
No, my dumb ass.
Palms facing each other.
Yeah, when I was coming back before we hopped on the podcast, I got a text and said, "What's RKBS?" ? And I was like, "Did I not type that out?" It's Russian kettlebell swings. There's a video. Damn it.
Son of a bitch.
You know?
No, for sure, man. It's what's another one? AMRAP.
Right? Or EMOM or
EMOM. I was just about to say that one.
What is this?
For sure, man.
Working on work capacity, No, that's cool. So you're primarily doing zone 2 training for almost everything you're doing now, or?
No, just like, I mean, that's what I'm doing personally with my only job is not to be a professional fighter. My only job is not to be a grappler. You know what I mean? I'm not God, why can't I think of his name? But I'm not that's not my only career, right? So we kind of have to control around that. We have lives, we have other means of income, we have other things that take into account. Like, I can't work out 3 times a day. Like, I just can't, you know what I mean? Not realistically. And still be able to recover, you know what I mean? So zone 2 really helps me just like tap into like, it's not super stressful. Most people can do it. When I say most people, everyone can do zone 2. It's something like Gen Pop needs to do more zone 2. That's just good for your health, good for your heart and everything. So that's why I do a lot more of that. I kind of let my jujitsu get better as I train harder and harder, and just let that work my different energy systems, indirectly or kind of directly, but indirectly. But yeah, that's the main bit of cardio I'm doing for myself right now. You kind of branch into the different energy systems when you lift weights, just because of the nature of the beast, max effort stuff, pulling like 400 something pounds for reps, that taps into it. That's not the oxidative system or the aerobic system,
Yeah, it's a little bit different.
Definitely anaerobic.
That's that vein popping out of your face system is what that is.
Dude, good. Yeah, I got that going on like right now, but but yeah, hypertension's cool. No, I'm kidding.
Well, we're going there.
Hey man, I got it in my genetics. My dad and mom left me some good ones.
Sounds like it. Sounds like it there, sir. Cool. What so this is always a question I like to ask for somebody that's in health and wellness. What do you think the biggest either piece of misinformation or the biggest misgiving from other trainers or the whole space in and of itself that people that are not educated in this, that are coming in to find a trainer, to find a gym, to find a methodology to follow, are getting confused by?
I think a lot of it, this is off the top of my head. Obviously, I don't have a lot of time to think about it. But it's like this is the way people, you know what I mean? It's like
the absolutes.
This is the way. Yeah. It's like you can do Google searching online, what is the best way to lose weight? And you're going to have 12 different things that all contradict each other, that all have results from people that have like done good with them. That kind of goes back to like that middle area, that I was kind of talking about earlier. I think there are too many trainers that like they lean too heavily as that being their like selling proposition. They're like, this is the best way to burn body fat, do keto, blah, 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 blah. And like these people finally see results on doing, anything structured, really, anything off of the Western diet's going to fucking get you results. What happens when you stop eating burgers and fries 3 times a day,
There's a nice sound bite. Going to get you canceled. Continue.
Hey, you stop that. No, it's just like when you start telling people that like, or start giving off that their way is the only way, and you're going to lose if you don't, that's when people start getting confused. Because they're, a lot of times people will start looking up stuff online, and they may see somebody that they follow on Instagram say something completely different, than what their trainer says. And a lot of times, like, I don't think the trainer does a good enough job in saying, like, look, their way also works. You know, it's okay to say that some other method works. um, but that's what I would say, honestly. Um, I wish more people did that, because there's a ton of ways to skin the cat, man.
Yeah.
And
Would you say that
that.
that people play absolutist because they have pride, or because they're trying to reinforce that their ways is the way that this client should follow, so they don't lose clients? Like, is it a scarcity thing, or are people just ignorant?
I think
When
it's two things. So I think, I've seen people that have become like keto fanatics
Mhm.
because they've tried everything under the sun incorrectly. And then they tried keto and it worked for them because they were able to stay with it more consistently, just because it was, for them. You know what I mean? Sorry, I'm picking on keto. I don't really hate keto that much, but
What about B
uh,
Shred?
he can suck a dick. And so can Thomas DeLauer and all those fun people. But yeah, man, it's like, I feel like they see results in a certain way, and then they're just diehard believers all of a sudden, right? So I think they're one vein of that whole problem. But I think there's another problem, and I think there's people like Joel Seedman.
Oh my! Don't
Yeah,
call this man out
baby.
in Atlanta. Come on now.
Dude, I'm sorry. Like, look, if he listens to this, like,
He doesn't, but
all respect, whatever, but none. Dude, like, there's a lot of fear mongering. So, like, that's a classic sales strategy you probably know of. It's like the snake oil salesman. Here's the problem. Let me fear monger you to oblivion. But guess what? I sell the solution. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of people get caught up in that because they make money, and they're not willing to get off of that high horse and potentially lose money. Um, so they just dive deep as hell into their ideologies.
what do you think Joel's trying to sell?
He's trying to sell that, like, a lot of just like when you said his name again, I thought of like the exercise. Did you ever see the video he sent of him doing like calisthenic body weight exercises? And he was like,
No,
I don't know if there's a film.
dude, the last thing that I saw of Seedman was him working with top level NFL athletes and having
Right.
them do like a curtsy squat
Mm-hmm.
with a loaded barbell on their back, with a band on their neck or on their hips, with
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
a plate in between it, pulling them forward, which I really don't understand why we're loading here and we're loading also down and then we're going single leg. Look, I'm not a physical therapist, right? I'm not by any stretch of the imagination, but the DPTs that I trust to work with me and that I am close friends with also look at that and are like, what?
Dude, he's got like a cult following.
For sure. For sure. There's
But
probably someone that listens to this podcast that follows him on Instagram, for sure.
well, I hope they laugh, after we talk about this more. But it's just like, one of the things that really grinds my gears about him is every time he like talks about his like 90-degree, he's trying to sell a lot of times like, if you pull past 90, you're damaging your joints, or like, you don't need to do anything
His
else.
parallel squat is not hips under knees ever.
Yeah, no, he doesn't ever train the full range of motion, that the vast majority of the industry says is full range of motion. To him, it's full range of motion. You know what I mean? But every time he cites that, it's his own fucking study. I'm like, you can't just cite yourself, dog. Like, you can't. Like, I can write a book right now and say, you know, all you have to do is bench press and you'll get a big back or something like that, and if all I cite is myself, like might sound credible to the untrained eye. Here's my book, whatever.
Yeah.
But the vast majority of the industry is calling you a quack, um and so I think that's really what he's selling is this idea that, if you pull past 90 degrees or you squat past 90 degrees, you're fucking yourself up. But,
Would you insert it depends again here? Like, is this another place to
sure,
insert that, like, hey, maybe not for everybody we need to pull past these places. Maybe not
sure,
everyone we need to go knees over toes. Maybe not everyone we need to go to full depth.
sure.
Maybe you got some herniated disc and other stuff are going on. But for the average person, maybe we
Mhm.
also don't need to be absolute and say never do.
Sure. I'll also add something on top of that. I think the vast majority of people, even if they have drastic injuries like, herniated discs, they have knee pain, stuff like that, they have the ability, assuming, like, I'm also like assuming that you don't have like a fused spine or like anything like that,
Yeah.
like no surgical problems, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing like that. But everybody typically has the ability. You just have to eventually train it over. It might take 5 years to get, old man Johnny, who's 65 years old and has sat in a car or an office chair his entire life. And this is the first time that he's like decided to squat. Does he need to squat to parallel to be considered a squat? No. Can he eventually? Oh, absolutely. Like, absolutely.
Yeah.
Over time. And that takes a lot of progression. You definitely ain't gonna get that online. You need to go see someone in person for that one. But you know what I mean? But that's, it definitely does depend. Um, but for him, he's one of those, like I said, absolutists. That's just like, I'll say he's even admitted himself that he puts these like crazy ass exercises on there because it catches people's eyes. Of course, it catches people's eyes. It catches my eye, and I'm making fun of him. Like,
Still
but
talking about him. I think that's the
still
point,
talking
though.
about it. That's the point, exactly. So anyway,
Yeah.
that's
No,
my
for
spiel
sure.
on Joel.
Yeah, Mr. Seedman out in Atlanta. What do you think about knees over toes guy?
I love him.
Yeah.
I
What
love
about
it, man.
squat? What about squat you?
Oh, you're talking about the PT guy that always
Yep.
talks about? Yeah, yeah, love Squat U. He's awesome. And I wish more physical therapists were like him, man, and doctors, and for that matter. Like, you know, I had
More
a doctor.
educational content, more entertainment content
Yes,
with a message, with something that can provide value to everyone with wherever you are.
absolutely. And I loved, like, at the beginning of this, how you started talking about like practitioners of, this thing, this space. They're also practitioners, right?
Mhm.
I you know I wish that more PTs, more general care physicians, all of these people, I wish that they did more things like strength training and and just general health stuff, because I have heard like tons of like crazy stories telling people like not to get the knees over the toes, not to, anything like that, from doctors. And they'll take nutrition advice from doctors that don't know shit. They don't know shit, but they have MD at the end of their name, so they have credibility all of a sudden. Um, so it's like, I don't know if you follow Dr. Nadolski on Instagram. You need to. He's a funny guy, but he's a doctor. He's a physician. I can't remember what type exactly, but he runs a huge shebang over there where he teaches people like the legit stuff. Like, he doesn't fearmonger people on carbs.
Yeah.
But he's also a physician. And so it's, the world needs more people like that. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, almost like you need to use your certifications, your qualifications, your research time, your time in school to the betterment of the individuals that are coming through the door, and not to
Sure.
the detriment of another practitioner. Not to
Absolutely.
spend your whole life running down and talking about how MDs suck, or as an MD or a DPT or a chiro being like personal trainers, they don't know shit,
Hmm.
right? Because at the end of the day, look, I believe that we all have a part to play here, right?
For sure. For
There's,
sure.
I mean, it's a holistic approach if you truly want people to continue to augment and continue to level up. Um, I think it's very interesting. I think you'd really like one of my buddies, and he actually will be on the podcast next week. Um, Nathan Teeter. He's a
Okay.
physical therapist. He's out in Cumming, Georgia, with Apex Physical Therapy, and then
Okay. Is
also
he
my
on the
buddy.
gram?
Yeah. He's I don't know what his personal is, but Apex. Apex PT Cumming or Apex Physical Therapy.
I'll give him a
APEX.
follow.
Dude, solid dude. But he's exactly what you're talking about. A
Nathan
DPT.
Teeter. I just found him.
Yeah. A DPT that played college ball, right? Played high school. I think he played college ball and played high school ball. Massive dude. And literally with his clients that come in, dude, he's doing strength training. Every single one of them is leaving doing strength training, whether you came in doing it or not. Every single one of them.
Dude, it's strength training. I was actually talking about this with my buddy. I don't know if you were recording at the time, but Jordan Clark. And by the way, Jordan, awesome, incredible athlete, professional shot putter. Like, he's a phenomenal coach as well. But we were talking about how like strength training period is the pinnacle of things that like translate to fucking everything.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're a swimmer. I don't care if you're a combat, professional MMA fighter. I don't care if you're a stay-at-home mom. Strength translates and will make you better at everything. And that's the only thing that does.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
No, absolutely, dude. Strength training is also one of the most difficult things to do because over time it's kind of demoralizing. Like, I've been doing this for 6 months. How am I not huge? I don't want to do this for 10 more years.
Yeah.
Dude. Like 10
what do you
more
mean I
years
have to
like
do this for 10 years?
Oh no. 10 more years lifted 3 times a week to get a dump truck? Come on.
That's what I started calling my ass. No, a power wagon. That's what I started calling my ass.
Oh, dude, I heard someone call. You ever see those cyclists like the Olympics or I think that was at the Olympics? They were like, yeah, that dude's ass is a meta wagon. I was like, wow. Wow. That's a big word.
That is a big word, but
that's funny though.
All wonderful words for the ass.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, look, why not have a dumpy if you can have one,
I'm saying, like, I don't think there's a person in this world that would be mad about having a straight up dump truck.
Well, dude, big butts are in these days. Who knows in a few years if tiny butts are going to be in, but we're not going to stop lifting.
I'm not on that train.
Nope. Ladies and gentlemen, keep your butts big, whether we swing that way or not. Come on.
That's wonderful. Hey, you can buy the other stuff, man.
You can buy all kinds of things.
You can technically buy an ass, but it just doesn't look great.
I mean, you can fat transfer anywhere, really, but
sure.
I mean, it's definitely an interesting time. It's a weird world we live in out here. I tell you what, but thank you for being thick. I tell you what.
Dude. Please tell me where you bought that.
Oh, dude, I'll shut them out. They've got great stuff. It's Kettlebell Gains Apparel, KB Gains Apparel on Instagram. Dude, they have so many things like this.
That is one of the best shirts I've ever seen.
And then look,
how did I not notice that?
Look, Don, look at the back.
Oh yes, baby.
Dude, all the way across the back.
That is awesome. What are they called?
Kettlebell Gains Apparel.
Kettlebell Gains. I am following them too. You're just making me follow all these people.
Yeah, and then I have some really obnoxious bodybuilding shirts from Rascal Apparel, RASKOL.
Oh, sure. Oh yeah, from God, what's his name? Omar Isaf.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, they're so obnoxious, cool dude. Stringers,
of course they are.
Peach Daddy retro.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's got it going on, man. He just started he's one of the early people I started following when I really started my journey into health and wellness. But he just started a History Channel show going over different old History Channel, right? Old workout routines of what would a gladiator have done to be jacked and shit? It's cool, man. You ought to look it up on YouTube. Yeah. It's a fun time. It's a fun watch.
Yeah, man. No, for sure. Dude, a hell of a conversation so far.
Dun, 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 dun.
Where are you going? What's next for Don? Okay, you're back in this space. And for everyone that doesn't know, he's now jumped back. You're full-time, right? Now?
Yeah.
Again?
So, yeah, I was selling windows. It was a wonderful job. I didn't leave because of the job. It was sales is awesome. But it just wasn't fulfilling. selling windows, it's kind of hard to feel like you're changing the world selling a window. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'm jumping back into coaching full time officially. I talked to my boss last Thursday, and talked to him about that. So within 4 or 5 weeks, I will be full time swinging. I'm technically full time going right now. I'm treating it like that at least. So I am definitely in the online scene. Yeah, that's kind of what's next for me. Like I said, I've got a jiu-jitsu combat strength program coming out. That will be done. I've already shot all the video, done all the voiceover, done all that fun stuff. I'm just making it pretty now on Canva.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've used Canva. But yeah, so that's kind of what's for me. I do online, one-on-one online, and I'll eventually have a group style where you just kind of pay a monthly fee and you get kind of, monthly programming, so to speak.
Kind of like Ryan Fisher, and a lot of other people do.
Yeah, it's a big thing in the scene right now. I think it would kind of suck not to do that.
Yeah. No, and it's actually interesting that you were talking about double progression model, because the full body aesthetics program by Ryan Fisher by Chalk Performance, that's a double progression. And they work, I mean, it's full body 5 days a week, but the volume is way cut down. It's one exercise per body part, 3 by 8 to 10, and 3 by 8 to 10 or 3 by 4 to 5. 5 days a week, dude. It is solid. It has gotten me like aesthetically a little bit more balanced out. I've started rolling in as kind of the accessory side. And so my shoulders are starting to even out a little bit, back is evened out. So I'm not like really strong on one side and weak on the other. It's kind of fix some of those inefficiencies. So I'd be interested to see what you end up putting out. What happened to the Silverback program? Are you bringing that back out? What's going on with that?
Oh yeah, baby.
Yeah.
It's coming.
Dude, I remember that. Yeah.
It's that was also a double progression model program, but it was more of a dynamic double progression model. Ooh, big words. All that. I mean, I don't know if you want to jump into that, but
yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
So double progression, like just a refresher, is, if you have 3 sets of 8 to 10, if you're hitting the top of that rep range across all 3 sets, you've earned the right to go up in weight. Dynamic double progression kind of operates off of that first set. So if you get, let's just use bench press. Let's just say you have 3 sets of 8 to 10 on bench press, and you do 225 for 10, then 225 for 9, then 225 for 8, right? Well, on regular double progression, you're not going up until you get all those numbers up, right? Dynamic double progression says, well, you hit the top of the rep range on that first set, go up by 5 pounds. So I'm going to hit 230 the next time I go in there and bench press. I'm going to hit 230 and probably get, 8, 9 reps. And then I'm going to drop back down to 225 and do that for my next 2 sets. So you kind of go off of your first set. So it's a way to keep adding. You almost like, you feel like you're progressing faster. That doesn't necessarily mean you're progressing faster, but you feel like you are. So it's a little bit more fun because you're like, oh, I'm adding weight to the bar.
Yeah.
A lot more often,
It kind of beats the apathy a little bit.
Sure.
Like you're excited, right?
100%.
Oh, let's talk about motivation real quick. We'll go into accountability here in a second, but I want to make a differentiation between the two, a delineation between the two, if you would. Motivation being, your emotional state and how you feel about working out. And accountability and I would say potentially discipline and consistency being a completely different thing. Would you agree there?
100%.
Okay.
100%.
How's your motivation fluctuated through your journey?
I mean, about like the days go by, it's gonna ebb and flow.
You said Don's not a superhero. Is that what you said?
Well, hey, don't go that far now. I'm just kidding.
The long hair now. Hold on.
You got to be the superhero of your own story, man. Come on. No.
There it is. That cheesy ass line. I love it.
Got to throw it in there somewhere, right? Motivation, it's a dying bitch. You can coin that.
Oh, wow.
Motivation is a dying bitch. And it's oftentimes it's when you're motivated on top of being disciplined, like magic is just flowing, right? When your motivation dies, you're, which it will, like every single person's motivation is going to die. The discipline is what keeps you going. So the discipline is what tells you, hey, I'm tired. Um, I have to get up the next day. I mean, how many excuses can you come up with, James? Like, I bet if I gave someone a notepad that like registered everything that went through their head of excuses, the list would be full in like 5 seconds. This huge list, right, of excuses that you can come up with. And discipline tells all of those excuses to fuck off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the discipline has to be there. You've got to have something a little bit bigger than you in those moments. And discipline really is the driver of everything. It's the only thing that's going to make you a successful business person. It's the only thing that's going to make you successful in your, workout, health, wellness journey. It's the only thing that's going to make you successful in jiu-jitsu. I mean, how many times, dude, like I told you before, I was crying in the back room at one point before my last fight. I was sobbing.
Before the last jiu-jitsu or the last?
No, before my last martial arts fight. The week before, man, I was in the middle of class and I got up and I just walked in the back room and I sobbed. And it was like my motivation was dead. But that, like, I sucked it up and I finished training because I was like, well, am I fighting? Yes. Do I have to train so that I have a chance at winning? Yes. Fuck my feelings. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Would you say fuck your feelings forever or fuck your feelings in that moment?
In that moment. We definitely have to touch on the feelings. You can't, I'm a big advocate for mental health too. It's if you ignore that thing forever, it always gets bigger and it always fights back pretty hard. So I'm a big believer in like also being disciplined there and being willing to have the difficult conversations with yourself. If not, obviously lean on other people when you need to. Go to a therapist, go to your friends, go to, whatever you can. I know therapists can sometimes be expensive, but reach out where you can. You have to be, you're damn sure not going to be motivated to do that. But you have to be disciplined enough to not be afraid to reach out and not be afraid to approach that uncomfortable little dark space in your brain that you've always thought about. Like, I don't want to go there. Let me just go drink. Yeah. I don't want to go there. Let me go smoke some weed, attack that demon, that's the only way to get through it.
Yeah. How have you found your mental health progression in your health and wellness journey, both as a practitioner and as somebody that's consistently in the gym?
The gym definitely helps that. It helps that tremendously. It also, like, on the days when you don't want to be in the gym and you damn sure don't want to be in the gym, you feel like shit, all that stuff, and you still go anyway. Those workouts don't feel the best a lot of times. A lot of times they do, it's conversely, you go in, you don't feel good and come out with one of the best workouts of your life, but sometimes it still sucks. And my mental health ebbs and flows, like I'm sure a lot of people's do. Nowadays we can't just like, it's a lot more available to, or like, okay for us to be open about, like, man, I feel like dog shit, like mentally, you know what I mean? Which I'm really glad for. But the health and wellness space has always been a space that really helps me mentally, as I'm sure it does for you, and as I'm sure everybody who's ever been addicted to health and like working out can attest to. It's a safe space, man. It's a place where you can go and you can like get mad at something and literally exert every ounce of effort and hate on the bar, and it's not going to hurt somebody. You know what I mean? Not going to hurt somebody's feelings. You're not going to like injure them, anything like that. And you can just be mean as shit. Sometimes that helps people. Helps me.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was the answer you were looking for there, but
Just looking for what actually comes to mind. No scripts,
yeah.
no canned, I want Don. If I wanted somebody else, I would have just got them. You know what I mean?
That's right. That's right.
Um, how would you say your support system? Well, first of all, how's your support system around you? And then how would you say your support system has allowed you to remain more consistent pursuing both the mental health that we're talking about and then also the physical?
Yeah. So, I mean, my support system is like my wife, um, my buddy Adrian, Andrew. I'm throwing names out there that nobody fucking knows, but Jordan. All these people, right? I have an awesome Zach. Let me throw that one out there just in case he listens. But all of these friends of mine and my wife and fucking my dog, dude, my dog. All of those support systems, when you're having a shitty day and you just want somebody to just like listen to you, they'll do that. If you want some advice, they'll give you advice. Even my dog will. It's pretty cool. So those are really the spaces that like you lean on when you're feeling weak as shit and you need a little support, but you also need your support systems to like want you to get out of the hole, and urge you to like, what does Don need to do to dig out of this hole? And Don also has to want to dig out of this hole, at the same time. So, but I want to, for the sake of my support system too, so that I can be strong for them and so that I can put forth what, all of us have been, you are the only one of you. You have the only makeup, so to speak, and the only ability to give what James has to offer to the entire world, right? I'm the only one that can give anything, all of my experiences as Don to the entire world. And a lot of my motivation to like get up every day is to I believe in the butterfly effect, right? So even if it's like I go into the gas station and I'm buying like a protein bar and I look at the cashier and they're having the shittiest day of their life on their face, and I crack a joke at them and they laugh. Something so small as that can have an impact years down the road, in my opinion. With the way, what if the rest of their day, they're like, damn, that, today's not a shitty. Maybe I'll crack a joke to somebody else and that impacts them. And they might think the world's a little less of a shitty place. That's a lot of what gets me up and gets me going. I want to be the best version I can for the people around me that believe in me.
So inspiring and holding those around you accountable while they do the same, and kind of like an interplay, a push-pull there.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm like, where all our hands are in are locked. If you fall in a hole, I'm picking you up. If I fall in a hole, you're picking me up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, what percentage of people do you think these days actually have that kind of support system?
I think the number goes, I don't know, actually. That's a difficult question. Because I obviously don't know, like, we don't know a lot of people, right? not in the grand scheme of things.
I'm just more speaking to, people that aren't in your inner circle. Like, do you find that a lot of people that you encounter, and maybe this is clients that I'm speaking to, I'm more just broadly posing the question, but like, there's a lot of people that I know that I interact with in the gym, in the bar, and other places that I'm like, I so badly want you to be in a great spot, but you don't have the support. And I'm not your husband or your wife or your trainer, or like, I don't have enough context with you to do more than what you're talking about. Crack a joke, crack a smile, what have you. I want you to have a better time than you're having right now. But I don't think that you have the support that you need for that to happen.
Sure.
That's what I was curious about.
Yeah. That explains everything a little bit better. I think that number of people is like alarmingly large. How much would it suck if you were just trying your goddamn best to, lose weight, do all this, and your husband was just like, even just like cracking jokes or like not 100% with you. You know what I mean? Like, oh, well, I'm gonna eat these potato chips. You know what I mean? And like, it might be a lighthearted joke or whatever, but there's something there that like the support just ain't there, bro. Like, um, I think there's a lot of people in boats like that. Especially even a lot of times you see it in the friend scene, not even just like as deep as like having a spouse that doesn't support you, but your friends that like, let's say you go out and you drink with these buddies of yours 2 or 3 nights a week.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, damn, I'm tired of my beer belly. Like I want to like feel confident in my body when I take my shirt off at the pool or go to the beach. I want to be jacked. Like I want to be strong as shit. And I need my health in check. And then you start doing stuff like that and you stop going out with them 2 or 3 nights a week and they're like busting your shit, and that's like, even though like a lot of it's lighthearted, it's still there. And so, you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of people that experience that. I know there is.
Misery loves company, man.
Misery loves company. It's like you look at you can't win in the fat space or whatever it's called. The what is it? Pretty at any size or healthy at any weight or I can't even remember what it's called. But it's like damned if you do, damned if you don't in that scene now. It's like if you're healthy at any size and you're part of that crew and then all of a sudden you're like trying to lose weight and everything, they start to shame you.
Look at what happened with Adele. Adele got her health in check, and then everyone was like, your music is great, but you suck. And you're like,
what? You lost who you were. And it's like, how dare you get healthy? How dare you not want to die early? Like, you know what I mean? It's like,
bruh, she bettered
Jesus
herself.
Christ. Yeah, give the girl a break.
Like, goodness.
Yeah, dude. And it's like, that might not be something that like, not everybody wants to hear that, but that's the truth, man. Healthy at any size is not my favorite group. Yeah, but I love the message that they say. I will say this, like, I do believe that you can love yourself at any size, and you can also recognize that you need to change. You know what I mean?
I mean, would it be fair to say also that your health doesn't really depend on how you look, right? Like realistically, sure. Your mental health, your physical health. We have someone that we both know pretty well. We're not going to name this person, but was a client of yours at one point, is someone that I know, and posted something on Instagram not that long ago talking about when she was smaller, skinnier, and was heavily tracking things. Society thought she looked good, right? Or was healthy, but her health was in the shitter. And like now, tracking 100%. Less, worried about protein intake, worried about progressive overload, consistency in the gym. She's in a much better place, even though she's heavier, even 100%. Though she's eating more. I think you might know who I'm talking about now.
100%.
Okay. Like it is she is leaps and bounds from where she was mentally 100%. And physically. And it is so beautiful to see that quite literally she's broken out of the narrative of, hey, the amount of calories I consume define me. The weight on the scale defines me, right? Because it's a data point. Like Sayet says all the time. It's literally, we're trying to figure out, are we line of best fit up or down? Okay. Can we use it to our advantage? But like, how about her progression? And I want to keep her anonymous only because, I mean, I didn't have a conversation with her before we got on here, but how about her progression? Like,
it's incredible.
That's amazing.
It's incredible, honestly. Like, and I love to see it. Because especially like in the female world, man, it's for y'all girls out there. I'm sorry. That shit sucks. Y'all have a lot to fight with, from birth. You're just like programmed into this society to like want to be a certain way, look a certain way, eat a certain way, fit a certain way, all these things that aren't necessarily true. There's a very broad range of body fat percentages, a very broad range of like, certain other instances of data that make you healthy. And it doesn't look like one body type, and it's just really cool to see when women like almost wake up out of that. They wake up out of that dream and they're like, I'm fucking strong. I can be strong as shit. I can eat a lot of food compared to like a lot of food. Like I've seen girls eat like 900 calories a day, dude. I'm like, that scares me. It scares me. And I'm like, don't eat that. Like, please eat more. And they start eating more. Their hair starts to get better. Like, so many things get better when they get out of that headspace that they are like defined by, like you said, this number on a scale. They're defined by how many calories they're eating compared to their favorite Instagrammer. They're comparing all these different little things. And so when they break out of that and they truly like start to see what they're capable of achieving as themselves, it's fucking awesome. And that's what you get with X person.
Yeah, and I think it's very important.
Very proud of her.
Yeah, I mean, she's a hell of a woman, and I've loved to see the progression. I mean, definitely in a much better spot now. But I think that kind of brings up this point. And I'm sure you would mirror this, but if you disagree, jump down on this. Like it's a you versus you game, right? It's
100%.
not a me versus Don. It's not a Don versus AJ or James versus Sae'Von or fucking any Adrian versus anyone else, or like if this is not an actual competitive arena that we're not at a competition, we're not in a match, right? We're not sparring,
right?
Is it a competition? I don't think so.
No, it's the cliche book analogy, it's, don't compare my chapter 10 to your chapter 1, whatever. But it's as cliche as that is, it's so true. You cannot compare your journey at any point in time, your age compared to somebody else who may have started earlier. You can't compare their starting points. You can't compare anything. It is a you versus you. And you, where you're at now, thinking of like other person who has been in the game 11 years, isn't going to help you take the first step.
Yeah. It's only maybe going to defeat you more.
It defeats you.
Yeah.
But you saying, you know what, I'm going to start going for walks. And then you start going for walks and you're like, wow, you know what? I really like what's going on here. Maybe I feel like doing a push-up. And then you start doing that and you're like, oh shit, like I can actually be strong. Like, that's cool. I used to could not do a push-up. Now I can do 5. Like, how cool is that? There's a lot of people in this world that can do more than 5 push-ups, right? But if I sit there and think about all the people that can do more than 5 push-ups rather than me, it doesn't get me any closer to that goal.
That's true.
I just thought about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like you're not going to move better under a bar by reading books. You're gonna have to get under a bar.
It's like I've been listening to a lot of Alex Hormozy recently.
Solid dude.
Yeah, solid guy. But he talks a lot about like sales, and he's like, if you haven't ever sold anything, don't go out and buy 5 books of how to sell something, because you're going to read it and it's not going to make shit sense to you. Why? Because you don't know the first fucking thing about selling. Go out there and sell and suck at it and be like, oh shit, I suck at this area. And then you like read something in the book and you're like, that's what that is. That's what he's talking about here. Let me read about this. And you get better at that, and then you get better at sales.
Swing the bat. If you don't swing the bat, you're never going to hit the ball.
Amen.
Not at all.
Mm-hmm.
Not at all.
Yes, a lot of people get, and including me in the fitness space, a lot paralysis by analysis. You want to like, I'm a perfectionist. I know a lot of perfectionists. You sit there and you're like, all right, this is how I want it to look. I need this perfect amount of knowledge. Oh, well, this isn't 100% right. Let me go back. And then you never actually like do anything. You just do a lot. You're like a hamster on a fucking wheel, right?
Yeah.
A whole lot of motion, not a whole lot of actually moving anywhere, right?
Yeah. In place, just going fast.
And that's all you're doing. You don't actually get any further down the track. You're just spinning your wheels. And you gotta get on the bike and you gotta pedal.
Yeah.
And there was I want to say this real quick. My dad actually came up with this analogy, and it's like, life and a lot of things in life are like riding a bike. A lot of people tell you that you've got to get balance. You don't need balance. You need traction. Because if you try to just get on a bike and you ain't pedaling, you're going to fall your ass off every single time, because what happens on a bike if you're standing still? You know?
Yeah, you're
But
gonna
what
go left
happens
and
when you
right.
start pedaling? You might not know where the fuck you're going at first. You might not know how to turn. You might run into a tree, but you get back up. I ran into a tree the first time I got on a bike. Fun fact. But you need traction, and then the balance will figure itself out. So
Radical action, baby. You got to get after
baby.
it and see what the hell happens.
Mm-hmm. It's cool. It's cool stuff.
Revisiting the meta wagon comment earlier. How about Hormozy being jacked out of his mind?
Dude, what is his calf made of? Is my question.
A quad.
Dude, his calves can squat 315.
Dude, I'm waiting for the day that he's big enough in like household and health and wellness that people start making memes like they do for Norris and other people, because quite literally those calves are bigger than most people's biceps.
Dude, it is insane. It isn't actually insane. I'm like, I wish, like, my little calves are cool and all. I'm very pleased with my calves, right? But fuck, those things are like bowling balls on the back of his
Dude, you see he posted some stories today of like calves first, and I was like, oh my.
Like a little baby head right there, you know?
Right?
What is that, happening? Dude? A watermelon on the back of your leg,
Good
dog.
Night. Yeah.
You know, another person who has gigantic calves is Jason Huh.
I don't know who it is.
Old dude. He's an old bodybuilder. He's got a like mohawk.
Dude,
how about, I think he should have said, but
how about Chris Baum these days? That dude's massive.
Bumstead?
I think that's his name. Yeah.
C-Bum? Dude. All right. Hot take. I see a lot of people like talking about like that. Like, I follow like gym fail pages and shit like that. And they do like all these polls and everything. They're like, who's the best bodybuilder of all time? You know, all this stuff. And of course, Arnold's up there, and then like Ronnie Coleman and, you know, somebody else. And then they'll have C-Bum, and like nobody's voting for C-Bum. And I'm like, wait a minute, dude. Like, compared to like Arnold, everybody votes for Arnold, right? Hot take. I think Z-Bum looks better.
Yeah.
It's my hot take, man. I think he is an aesthetic king. Like, definitely doesn't have the chest development that Arnold has. Arnold, I don't think anybody's going to have the chest development that freaking Arnold has. His chest was gnarly.
Yeah.
But C-Bum, dude, he looks so good. Like, no homo. A little bit of homo there.
You said no homo, a little bit. Oh.
Yeah. A little bit there.
Oh man, that's funny, dude. No, you crack me up. Speaking of Ronnie Coleman, you crack me up every time you put that podcast take on. Just the basics, just some
gold, dude. Just the basic stuff. Tests. D-ball, test, trend. This shit's hilarious, man. Dude, Ronnie Coleman, man, what a character, what a king.
Yeah, man. I would say that you know, in health and wellness in general, if you're not trying to compete in something, man, you got to get that ass moving. Regardless, 100%. You got to get that ass moving.
Absolutely, man. It's well, a lot of people undervalue walking.
That's true.
It's like, there's a lady that walks around my neighborhood, dude. I don't think she's lifted a weight in her entire life, but I can guarantee you this. She can walk. She is going to live a good long life, you know, assuming she doesn't get like in any kind of other crazy accident, you know, whatever. But she books it around this neighborhood, dude. She'll walk it like 8 times in a row. Like, you just see her out there and she's fucking getting it, dude. Like, arms swinging. But that's all she does. And she's in great condition. You know, is she like going to step on the IFBB Pro, you know, stage? No, but she doesn't care to do that. You know,
but that's not
she's
the goal,
good health,
right? Like, she's just trying to not atrophy, right?
Not
still be able to walk when she's 75, 85.
100%, dude. And that's, you know, not everybody has to pull 500 pounds to be healthy.
I would argue that most people that are pulling 500 pounds, if they're not doing it for the continuum of their life, they're probably not healthy.
No, I've never pulled 500, but I've also never tried to pull 500. So
yeah,
maybe this week on Instagram, you're going to see me do something.
Oh my God. Didn't you just pull 405 for 8 or 9 the other day though?
Yeah. 3 sets of 8. So I went up. So felt good. Strength is definitely, I've been stronger before in my life. Mm-hmm. But I've never felt as good as I do now. Like, I feel aesthetic. I feel very, very, very in good shape cardiovascularly. And I'm strong as shit right now. Like, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn. Like I'm proud. And I am at the same time. I take that back because I'm fucking proud of that.
Yeah.
You know, there was a period after my last fight where I went through like a strong 8 months of just like depression. Like I was crying every other day and it was not good. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't strength try. I didn't do shit. I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
I just completely let my fitness just tank, and I got soft, and it was not great. And then when I picked up the weights again and I started doing jujitsu again, and dude, it's come back stronger than it's ever been. And I'm very proud of that.
Good shit, man.
I want that for people, you know?
Yeah. No, for sure. Well, dude, we smacked a lot today.
Dude, how long was this one, huh?
An hour and 32 minutes.
Yes, sir. This was fun.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. So before we get out of here, and when we wrap, just stay on a little bit. We'll stop the recording and you and I will debrief. But while we're here, anything that you want to leave the people with? And then the number 2 would be, where can they find you? What socials? What's your handle? How can we get them in contact with you if they want to talk?
Yeah, so you can find me. My name is Don Scozzari on Instagram. And that's 2 Z's, Scozzari. And then Don is spelled Don, not like the dish soap. So you can find me on there. Instagram's my primary, form of media. So I branched into TikTok a little bit, but haven't really jumped down that one yet. But anyway, the last thing I want to leave you guys with is just man, just keep going and keep learning. There's never an end unless you just stop trying. So just keep fucking pushing whatever it is you're doing. I don't care, like I said, if it's walking, just keep going. And you guys can do it. You can do it.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. All right, guys, we're going to wrap this up. As always, you can find us on every social media at 8020 EIGHTY 20 _. We're on LinkedIn, Facebook. We're on every streaming platform too. We're also on YouTube if you want to see our ugly mugs up in this place. So we are there. We got rid of Don's, quadruple brow there with some lighting. We kind of opened it up so we didn't look like
you didn't like that. I can't even replicate it now.
No, he looked like a Neanderthal. But as always, we're dropping episodes every Monday at 9 a.m. Look out for some solid guests coming up. And at some point here, Sae'Von will be back on. Just been dealing with the kiddo, new dad. It's probably, it's something I don't understand. So, I'm very happy for him. And if y'all see him or you talk to him on social, definitely wish him a happy fatherhood. And we will catch y'all next week. New episode drops on Monday at 9 a.m. Thank y'all so much. Peace.
See y'all.